Hey everybody, welcome to subscriber Q&A. Today I'm hopping on to answer a pattern adjustment question for Tana, who is one of my regular subscribers who shows up to a lot of my lives, and I was kind of tickled pink that I could answer a question for her. What she's working on also kind of relates to what I'm working on right now. As you are aware, I am working on this dress. I'm just going to stand up. You can see this is my V-neck bias dress that I'm working on. And notice what's happening with this because it relates to the problem at hand for the pattern I'm going to show you how to adjust. Hey Bonnie, welcome. Notice that there is a style line that starts at the tip of the V or the base of the V, and it goes across my bust here. Okay, it's almost going across my apex. This is the style of this pattern. So the seam here is not supposed to be below the bust, meaning it's not creating a bust cup. It's just a style line for the style of the dress. So Tana's working on a dress that has a similar shape, but the V-shaped, the V-shaped design is designed to make this upper part here sort of like the bust cup. So let me just draw you a picture on my little board here. I didn't, I was going to print out like a line drawing of it, but basically it is this dress. So here's the armhole. I'm wowing you with my sketching skills here, but basically it has a V shape and, well, wait a minute, something like this. So you can see it's pretty similar to, I think actually it may come in a little bit closer like that. So something like this where the dress itself is very simple. And interestingly, this was a, this was labeled as a beginner project. And while this is very easy to sew, it might be a little tricky to fit. So I'm going to show you how to do this. Now, interestingly, well, not interestingly, but what I want to say here is the first thing you need to do is you need to sort of identify on the, on you where your apex is. So let's say, your apex falls right here on the pattern. Okay. You need this style line to actually come down and be under your bust like this, so that this whole pattern piece creates the shape of the bust, and then this seam sort of sits underneath the fullness of your bust. So that's approximately how these patterns are supposed to fit. And if you've got a bust size that's larger than average, D plus cup size, double D, E, F, G, I'm a G, you almost never fit into these unless it's a cup size pattern. So I printed out a few pattern pieces here, and this is just a very basic thing. I'm just going to cut this out, and the exact shape of the pattern piece might not be, this exact shape, but the technique I'm going to show you is going to work regardless. Hey Linda, are you from Switzerland? I love your little heart avatar there. Welcome. All right, so let me just cut this out here so I can show you. All right. All right. Okay, so let's look at this. So first of all, when a pattern is designed to have, the upper bodice, so there'd be two, right? You would cut two of these and you would cut one of these. So you sew this to here, and then you sew the other one onto the other side. And you can see this looks very familiar to what I was working on when I was developing my dress and top that I'm wearing right now. But notice, what I want to show you here is notice where the dart is. H cup, G, H. Well, you know, we have lovely curves, and I think we just need to embrace all of our curves. I'm going to show you how to get this to fit. If the issue is that it's fitting across, like it's not too tight, it's just the seam is too high on your body, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to figure out where your bust is on here. But before I do that, I just want to reiterate what I started to say here. When you create a pattern like this, the traditional bust dart is sort of hidden in the style line. So if I put these pieces together, it's likely that you'll see this flare out over here by the side seam. So that's actually where the dart went. Hi, Linda, welcome. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put these together, and I'm going to just measure down how far I think my apex is. So if you were using real life size pieces, you would just measure from, you know, your shoulder to about where your apex is. And let's say in this case, the apex was, you know, approximately, you know, let's say your apex is right here. So it's above the style line. What you really want it to be is you really want to have, and I'm just going to draw a circle here. So like if this is an example of, you know, the room that your bust is taking here, something like this, this seam really has to be down here. Okay, so what I'm going to do to adjust this is I'm going to lengthen the pieces. And where am I going to lengthen them? I am going to lengthen them between the armhole and the apex. So you don't want to drop the pattern up here. Like it would be possible, actually, you know, if you like, let's say your armhole was also too short, you could cut the pattern here, spread here, and drop the whole thing, and it would drop the seam, because if you lengthen this, you would be dropping it, but you're also playing with the armhole. So I'm going to go ahead and assume the armhole was okay in this case. So I don't want to lengthen or shorten the pattern here because I'm adjusting the armhole. So where I'm going to do it is actually right here. So I want to go between the base of the armhole and the style line like this. So what this allows me to do is it allows me to cut the pattern here. And now I can spread it the amount that I need to lower that. And what it's doing is it's adding length to the bust cup area of this pattern. So let's go ahead and put some paper in here. Where is my Scotch tape? Oops, sorry about that. All right, so I've got some Scotch tape there. Let's say I needed to add, I don't know, this is a tiny half scale pattern, so we're going to add this much. So I'm adding almost a ½ inch to this pattern to make it a significant amount, and then I'm going to reattach this. And of course, I want to keep this angle square because that's our V-neck. Okay, so this edge that I'm also lengthening is part of the neckline. So we want to make sure this stays even like that. Okay, so now we've lowered this, you know, and I'm just going to true this up over here. Let's just true it up like this. I'm just going to trim this just so it looks nice and tidy here. And I'm going to trim this off. Okay, and then I'm going to put this back together, and you can see I haven't changed the length of, oops, sorry, I haven't changed the length of this, so this is still going to sew together, but you can see what I've done is I've dropped the whole bust cup this amount right here. Okay, and that's going to push the seam down that amount, and then it will fit underneath versus going across the fullest part of your bust. Now, you may have heard me talk about how sometimes if I'm working with an empire waist pattern, I like to put the seam like right here, like right on this lower part of my bust, because then what happens is the rest of the fabric isn't pressing up against my midriff and then falling and showing my tummy, right? So if you have that V peaks up just a little bit onto the fullness of your bust, not too much, but just a little bit, and then it comes down, that's going to add some camouflage if you have a tummy. So it's okay if that seam ends up to be on the lower part of your bust just a little bit, because it'll help the fabric hang away from your body. But that's how you get that to work. But notice we did lengthen the V-neck though. So you have to decide if, in this case, if the base of the V is now too low for you. If it is, then you have to decide what you're going to do about that. You could change the angle of your V a little bit to make it go up higher. Oh, Sarah says this is so helpful. I'm so happy this is helping you. I really, anytime I get a chance to nerd around with patterns, I really enjoy myself. So I always love to troubleshoot and figure things out. I did import this picture that is the thumbnail of this video, and I brought it into Illustrator and I played with it first on the computer so I could figure out the best way to adjust. But if you want to bring your V neckline up a little bit, what you can do is you can connect these two things. And then, you know, I really feel like every time I start doing mini pattern work without my Sew Tights board, I feel like I'm working too hard. Ever since I got this thing, I have been in love with doing my pattern work on it. So I'm going to bring it back over, because then I can nail my pieces down without... I can nail my pieces down without having to tape and do things. So let me just get this set up here. Sorry about that. This was my Fit Tip Tuesday. Let's get that out of the way. All right, let me get this over here. So, as I was saying, and here's why I like working on my Sew Tights board, because I can just stick a booster magnet there. I can stick a booster magnet right here, and then it holds everything together for me so I don't have to keep scotch taping stuff. See, so now it's all stable. But as I was saying, if you wanted to change the V-neck, you know, if it's getting too low after you lower this whole, lengthen this whole piece, what you can actually do is change the shape. And actually what I'm going to do is I would cut the seam allowances off here and cut them off here. So cut them off, butt these edges up like I have done right here, and tape it together right here. Because see, what I can do now is I can take this and I can say, all right, here's my bust. And as I start to come around, I can bring this back up some. So you see what I'm saying? You can play with the shape of your bodice, and you can add some of the length back in. So you can see right here, if I now cut that out, this will allow me to raise the neckline a little bit. And you can see I've created a different shape here. And of course I would have to complete this on this side. So I think what I would do if I was changing anything on this lower piece, I think what I would do is I would cut it in half. So let's pretend this is exactly, well, let me cut it here. Work with a half of a lower piece, right? So you can work with it like this. So when it's sewn together, the V will be up there. And I know that looks kind of funny, but when it's sewn together, one will sew to here. And then, oh, I don't know if that's going to work. Actually, I'm going to take that back. I'm glad I cut that in half to see what would happen. It really would have to be, let me just turn this upside down. Let's do it again. Oh, but I already cut that off. Hold on. All right, that was a screw up. Hold on. That's not going to work. But I mean, you should be able to, let me just stick this back on. Sorry. Let me put this back. All right, we have to maintain the center front is what the issue is, being straight here. So let me just, all right, so here we are again. This is now too low. I want to put it back up here. And so this piece, it's really like this, right? This is like this. So this needs to stay straight up and down. Oh, Vicky says, do you need to raise the mark where the apex is? Oh, yeah. So the apex is actually, that's a good question. So this apex is actually up here now, right? So it's not here, it's up here. Okay. And this is straight vertical, right? And this is on an angle here. So if I want to raise this up to here, I think what I would do, actually, you know what I would do? Let's put, oh, you know what I think would be brilliant is if we use some tissue paper like I did for FabFit Friday. What did I do with my roll of tissue paper? Oh my God, I can't find anything in this room today. All right, never mind. We're going to use paper. I don't know what, oh, let's just use this. All right, I'm going to stick this right here. This is one of my UPS labels. This will work like this. Okay, so I'm going to just put some paper there. And I am going to extend my center front up like this. So let's extend this up to where I want the V to stop. Let's say we want the V to go there. That's where we want the base of the V to go. Oops. So I want my V to be there. So I think what I would do is I would redraw it like this. So there's my V, and then this would now be added to here like this. All right, this will work like this. So see now, let me just Scotch tape this all together and I'll cut it apart. So you only need to do this part if you feel like your V neckline is too low. So now we're going to extend and cut this out. And I don't need any of this under here either, so let me just get rid of this. Oops. Okay. And I don't need this little piece right here. Okay, and then I'm going to cut along this line. To here. So now we've got our neckline is now restored to a higher position. Okay. So that's how that's going to work. But remember, this has to stay straight up and down because this is the center front of the dress. So if you work with half, that'll make it easier for you to see what you need to do to bring that neckline up a little bit. You'll have to add a little bit of length here. So just to color in what I added all of this, and I added this to meet it. So we've lowered the seam, but we raised the V-neck to go back to where it should be, like this. So just to turn it so you can see the angle. And there's my little dart right there. So that's how you can adjust this to fit a larger bust. You know, plus you're lengthening up here. That's actually going to give you a little bit more coverage up at the base of your neckline as well. So I think that this would be a good solution if you're working on a pattern where you want the bottom of the, you know, the seam to hit you, you know, under your bust. Does anybody have any questions about this little pattern adjustment? Anyone? All right, so that was my big subscriber Q&A for today. Join me on Friday for FabFit Friday. I'm going to be sewing my, here's my fabric. If you guys missed it last week on FabFit Friday, I sewed a tube using the Bias Blueprints book. So I made this tube, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this tube to make a banto top, banto neckline top from a tube using the Bias Cut Blueprints book. So I will have another free reference guide for you to follow along, and I'm going to be using this fabric. So all of my little squares will be on the diagonal like this. So I'm excited to try this to see how this is going to work. So that's what we'll be doing during FabFit Friday this week. I'm very excited, and I'll be wearing my Japanese woven cotton fabric that I got at Sew Expo last year in the top I made in this pattern. And I finally finished the neckline and armholes, and I'm washing it, and I'm going to trim this raw edge down to 1/4 after it ruffles or frays. So it'll be completely finished, and then I'm going to move on to finishing this. I think this is going to get a lining because it's a little bit itchy, but dying to wear this dress as well. But anyway, so super excited about my bias project that I'm working on, and I hope you guys are too. I noticed a lot of people did download the reference guide to go along with it, so I think people are sewing along. I'd really love to see it. If anybody's working on their bias v-neck top, I would love to see how it's coming out. So feel free to send me pictures, or or post them and tag me on Instagram so I can see what you guys are working on. Or you can post them in our group at J Stern Designs Fit Sew Embroider on Facebook. Those are ways that you can share with me. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. You can use this technique to increase the bust size of any sort of top that has a left and right bodice with an empire waist of any shape. It doesn't even need to be a V-neck. You can use this to lengthen the whole thing. So I think that's everything I wanted to cover today. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Victoria says trying lining first time, so cross your fingers and pray. Oh, you're doing the lining of your dress first? That's a smart idea. I like that. I was half thinking I was going to take this version of my dress and use it to line this. But I love this way too much. This is not going to be a lining, this silk charmeuse. I'm super excited about the way this came out. So I got to figure out how I'm going to finish all these things now that they're started. Because I want to start wearing them. I wore my top yesterday before I finished. I finished the neckline and then I wore it with raw armholes to visit my mom. And then I came home and I finished the armholes. So, you know, I really got to finish these things so I can start wearing them in public and not look like I'm wearing a half-made garment. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me, Victoria. I'm really excited to see how yours comes out, so please keep me posted. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I will see you guys on Friday. I'm going to be switching modes. I know. Oh, Sarah says this is so sheer. It is sheer. You can see my bra. And when I have it on my dress form, you actually can see this line, this waistline. You can see it through the fabric. So I'm definitely lining it. Definitely lining it for modesty, plus the fact that it itches. So I just need to find the right fabric to go underneath here. So that's what's holding this part up. Oh, Victoria says, no, you're trying to line a shift dress. Oh, well, that's cool too. I think that's wonderful. All right, that's good. I like that. Oh, so DIY Girl says you're going to have to go out to a nice restaurant to wear your silk charmeuse. I know. I'm actually going to have lunch with my friend Gail. We have not seen each other since the spring. She's been so busy and I've been so busy. So we're going out to dinner tonight to Burton's, and that restaurant does qualify for the silk charmeuse dress, but I don't have time to finish it by then because I'm not sure what I'm going to do to finish it yet. But maybe I can. Well, I can't finish this one either because I don't have lining. I don't know what I'm going to do. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you Friday for FabFit Friday when we work on the Bias Blueprints Banto neckline top or blouse. And yeah, so thank you so much. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you again very soon.